Welcome Stormgate fans to another match, and this time we have a best of 3 series. We got Theory down here in blue, and all the way up to the top right we have his opponent Probe, so another Infernal versus Vanguard. This is a best of 3 series played as the semi-final of the Alpha Navigators Cup. So we're gonna get 3 matches potentially between the 2 players here, 2 at a minimum, as we already have Probe starting to scout. And I don't think I have to say too much about Theory here. We had him on the channel already a lot. He is obviously highly successful in the alpha and the beta, has played tons of games here, won tournament after tournament, and just generally a very experienced Stormgate player, very experienced with Infernal in particular, has come up with multiple builds and new ideas that he incorporated into strategies that people had to react to, and we have seen that in many games that he's now played here on the YouTube channel. Obviously, one of his trademarks also being the fact that he really likes to play with Weavers, which is pretty cool and a really fun unit in general. We have a couple of other players like Laser, for example, who also likes to incorporate those very heavily into his armies, but Theory definitely doing a lot of that work there, and we've seen that in multiple late game matches that he already played. Probe, on the other hand, very good Vanguard player from ANZ, and he has a really cool style. I love to watch Probe play. He has a lot of openings that, for example, center around Hornets that he's been using, and he has obviously been also trying in the past to very heavily deal with that drop play that we're getting from Infernals on essentially all maps. So yeah, Infernals, they love to do their drop plays, usually around 4 minutes and 30 to 5 minutes is when the first few drops hit, and it's always a question, how exactly is the Infernal player executing it, and how is the Vanguard player able to deal with it? Are we going to see some static defenses? Is it going to be some opening with air units to try and take them out? Are we going to center all of that around hedgehogs, as Mixu, for example, does? Or are we instead just getting a couple of Exos trying to shoot them down with Lancers defending on the ground here? In the early game, at least, we are having an immediate move out of the base from Theory. He is starting to creep a bit, whereas his opponent opened up with a command post first and then transitions straight away into some barracks and also a Lancer opening that we're seeing from here currently. So again, starting with that early base. On the other hand, we had a bit of a block here at the wall. In case that you were wondering why exactly the units are positioned, or the buildings are positioned the way that he does here with the Iron Vault and also the Conclave, it's actually pretty simple. We are talking about a time, essentially, where a lot of Vanguard players are going to apply a lot of Lancer pressure, and they can be tough to kill, especially when you're opening very heavily with Gaunts. So what a lot of them now do is you just try to block at the ramp to an extent that you can block it off completely by using, let's say, a Brood or some other units. So this is what the building placement here is all about. In the meantime, we have Theory, of course, creeping and trying to get himself some additional resources, going into the second shrine over at his expansion, at his natural, and just saturating his main base with the typical 10 out of 12 that we're seeing for most players. We have a meat farm in there as well, and the creeping continues. With this many fiends now on the ground, you want to do some work here. And one of the cool things about Brutes, obviously, which we see a lot more lately, but I think we're going to see it more in the future, is that you can also split a Brute straight up into fiends, and since they are a lot faster, that helps you to chase, for example, Lancers down when your opponent is attempting some hit and run strategies, and especially in Infernal versus Infernal, this is being used more and more because fiends can, well, in the future at least it's hinted at that fiends are not going to produce additional fiends. Already that's the case, but then we have to with the meat farms also the units that will likely get the same treatment. So if you split a Brood before your opponent kills it, no fiends will be spawned here. But yeah, so this is going to be used for exactly the reason that I already highlighted. We have an additional tower being built right here with a Shroud Stone, and now that we're roughly 4 minutes 10 in, we're already having the first Doombringer out, so the tech into tier 2 has already happened. We have the Greater Shrine here for Theory, and it's time to just execute some of the drop plays. Well, we have some Lancers out on the map now for Probe as well. So Probe has, during all of this, just added additional barracks. He added a biokinetic slab and is now just cranking out some of his Lancers, and of course getting the upgrade for the Lancers, so whenever they take damage they get a movement speed and also an attack speed here, so already using that, and you can see that block at the front. So trying to deal with that Lancer pressure, and it's all about building placement at this point and unit placement, and this is also where the Shroud Stone comes in pretty handy. But we have a drop happening while this attack is ongoing, so both of the players trying to be aggressive with the first sentry post already now doing some work here. The main base is still open, and down here, yes, Probe was forced back, but the health camp is active, so he can simply recover some hit points here and then go for a second attempt, or at least see if he can maybe shut down some third base of his opponent, or at least delay it. Now, in the main base is a bit of a different story. Apparently no overcharge available currently for Probe, so he's suffering at least some losses on the Bobs and has to send at least a few Lancers back to try and deal with all of this. And, well, Theory is using this already quite nicely to take some of the workers out and target the economy of his opponent. Probe now sending the rest of the Lancers back too in order to help there, which allows Theory on... I keep doing this, by the way. I have no idea what my brain is doing and what's happening with my pronunciation, but over the course of a game, I'm switching from Theory into Fury. It has happened in the last game already, and it continues to happen today. So yeah, something got wired a little bit weirdly in my brain at some point. And it's, I mean, I'm catching it and I'm just sitting here and it's just like, what is going on? So yeah. Maybe I'm having some flashbacks to 4K Fury in the days of Warcraft 3. Whatever it is, Theory already laughed about it and was saying, yeah, he apparently needs to create a new Smurf named Fury. So if you see an Infernal player named Fury storm the ladder, then you know who it is. Anyways, we have the third base now being built by both of them. As I was trying to say, as the drop play continues, we have the base at the bottom left now built for Theory. So he went for the third base as the Lancers had to retreat, but this is still wreaking havoc. I mean, he is getting so much out of this. It is fantastic for him. And Probe is pinned down at this point in time, which is of course highly unfortunate for him. He has a Sanctuary to get the ship back to the base. So one of the things that is, I mean, it drops on Doombringers on the side of Infernal is just absolutely insane. That recall ability that we just saw there is incredible. And now that he just went back to base, he can just simply load on a couple of additional Gauns. He lost a few harassing his opponent and can go for blow number 2. Now, we have the Lancers out on the map for Probe. He's trying, of course, to get some camps for himself. He wants the extra resources here, and in this case also the vision. He's still sitting on 3 bases, but he still has to also contest these drops here. And while we have now Flame Imps in the mix, you are guaranteed that it's just going to hurt him. This is a combo that we've seen now from Theory multiple times, that he went for Flame Imps and also for Gauns, and it does an enormous amount of damage. Now, the counter-attack is already coming, but Theory is starting to turtle up a bit. So Meat Farm and the additional Conclave that he's building is protecting the Shroud Stone that he has there. And we still have a flank coming in against the Lancers. Now, obviously, at this point in time, Theory is also going to be way more confident in his ability to face on those Lancers straight up on the map. We have the Doombringer still there in action. Another Iron Vault is being built, and the trademark Weavers are also in play. What I love Weavers for is that they can actually just walk over those tier 1 units, which is amazing. That also allows them in big clunky fights to get to the front, which a lot of other units are having a tough time. I mean, oftentimes when you see, for example, massive battles, you see Brutes stuck in the back, you see some Magmadons stuck in the back too, but the Weavers can just easily move forward. Then also you can, of course, Scorpion a couple of units into the mix here, particularly when we're talking about mech units, but also when it comes to Medtechs, who are highly expensive and are, of course, key units within any fight. So, drops are again happening. Exos at least catch it for a second. Not quite sure if he gets the Bob overcharge through. Here's the Imps. Flame on ability is up, and yeah, connects it with the sentry post here. And instantly chases everybody off the worker line. So even if you're not killing a lot of Bobs here, you're costing your opponent mining time, and that already hurts. But then he is able to get a few more units destroyed here. Spawns a couple of Fiends, and Probe is really not having a good start into this best of 3 series. Now, he can always break through this. As I said, he is an exceptional player, and he has played amazing games. Some of the matches of him that I saw were just nothing but stellar, and also the strategy that he comes up with. But at least in this game, he is struggling against that drop play. He was attempting early Lancer pressure, and it didn't really work for him. Now he's attacking down here at the third base, but we have outside of the Shroud Stone that Theory built also another Hellborn in the mix. So he's really transitioning into those tier 2 units. We have Weavers, we have Hellborn, and he is just doing his best to pin his opponent down with drop play, keep him busy, and that's essentially what you want to do in an RTS just in general. Unless you're goody, what you're looking for is to really be the one that has the initiative, that calls the shots, and let the opponent react to your plays, and then build a good economy and a good macro behind it. And this is exactly what we're currently seeing from the player in blue here. So again, trying to go for the health camp here. 4th base is now up. The same true for Probe, who has expanded towards the top left on the map. But that drop is still a nuisance, is still annoying. And I mean, eventually he will have to do something about it. We see tons and tons of barracks being built, but these flame imps, oh, that hurts. Those poor exos, damn. Yeah, flame imps are just absolutely ridiculous. So once that we have that flame on upgrade, they become such a problem. If you are a Vanguard player and you're attacking the base of any Infernal, you have to be so careful that those flame imps are not all of a sudden just rushing straight into your base. I kind of like the positioning here. So this is not the most efficient positioning when we're talking about mining from Illuminite mine. You can definitely optimizing that by changing the position of the command post, but it blocks the entire ramp here. So this is a pretty cool move made by Probe. I'm not sure if it's worth it or not. Again, you are suffering some on the efficiency of mining, but you also make sure that your opponent can just simply run in and use those flame imps or those fiends that Theory loves to do. I mean, if you watch any games on this channel, you know that he likes to split. There they are. Couple of fiends off towards the top left and starts to attack it. He loves to do that also with flame imps. Now, if you see that coming, you can quickly shield up on the command post and save it that way. But this is a pretty sneaky move, and I'm honestly interested to see if we're going to see more of that, because it is a pretty cool idea. I like the thought behind it, and let's see if it keeps that worker line safe. Now the drops, as you have seen, are still taking one bob after another down. Those flame imps are just doing work, and especially with the guns behind them, you get a lot done here. But I think this time, yeah, finally, the Doombringer is gone. Brought a lot of doom on the other hand. So yeah, he's going to be happy about that. Another base down at the bottom right. And when it comes to the main army, Hellborn galore. So we get Hellborn, we get a couple of brutes here too. And yeah, this is starting to look really, really good for Theory. The harass play that he executed was great. We see now more and more structures being built for him. Iron vaults, conclaves, which means that he, with that big army that he has, can now just simply build up the resource. He has the additional bases. He builds another one towards the middle of the map now. And once that he has all of those production facilities, he can just easily go for a huge fight and then replenish his army within seconds if he has the resources to do so, and go for like a 2-hit attack and try and destroy Probe with the second blow. Now, Probe is building that bio ball that we know and love, so medtechs are in. That means that specifically the Lancers will have an insane amount of armor up at the front, and that combined with the damage reduction that they have is going to be neat. We have the first few Atlas in play. If he can, he will likely add some medivacs later on as well, some evacs, and try and go for drop play. But even just those sitting in the backline is fantastic if you're well, there we go already. First evac is in, so yep, drop play can be expected, and that will just destroy, let's say, the Gons, for example. So yeah, they're going to suffer if that play is properly executed. So he's building for that bio ball. He's trying to get veterancy for his units, make that army stronger, make it more powerful. Specifically, the hit points on the Lancers at the front, as they're acting as a meat shield, are going to be great for him. But here comes that Infernal army, and let's face it, it's a big one. The Brute's a little bit stuck in the back, as I already said before. Weaver's highly unimpressed, just walking over everything. They don't care, and I like that we now also have a Shadow Flyer in here to try and deal with the evac. Because if you've seen any of the drop plays of the recent past, the game with Top, for example, comes to mind, you know that if you have a player that can really drop well with his Atlas, then boy, oh boy, are you in trouble. You need something to deal with the evac, or you're going to be in a world of pain. So now, here comes one of those run-by moments. He split his brutes already. Has to be a bit careful, since the drops are now being executed by his opponent. So Probe trying to get away and boosts out before the Shadow Flyers connect. But here come those fiends, and again, they have to take a bit of a different path here in order to get to that base. But I still like that we have plays like that being made. Split the brutes, Let's get the more agile fiends, rush them across the map and do your thing here. Shield already up on one of the sentry posts, which I really, really like. So Probe knew what was coming here. Those two-pronged attacks are, of course, something that Theory is known for. And while this is doing big damage now at the economy and creates something that Probe has to deal with somehow, right? You have the big attack happening through the middle. And yeah, he is ripping that army, or at least part of that army apart. The Atlas up on the high grounds, that's a pretty neat one for him. Over here, both of the sentry posts have been destroyed and all the bobs are now gone. Every single worker has been destroyed. A new set of workers is already coming in together with the Lancers though, but the command post is also taking some damage. Army over here, still in the middle, taking the Shadow Flyers out, so that's one less thing that Probe has to worry about at this point here in game number 1. But now we have the Flay Dragon as well, and even with a shield on the Atlas, thanks to the Hellborn and the Flay Dragon, all of that is going to take tons of damage. One Weaver at least goes down, showing again how powerful these Atlas can be when they are in a great spot and when they can do damage. Now they don't have the upgrade yet that will linger the extra AoE damage on the ground for a bit longer, but the split once more on the Brutes. We have even the Flame Imps being set up for flank. Could play around division here. Oh, walked him a little bit in too late. And nice reaction from Probe. He still loses a few of the units, but this was still well done. And here comes the attack. So once again, the block with the command post. I love it. I love it on the map. That's great. Even expanding over there, which allows him obviously to also build more of his imps here if he really wanted to. So he could use that that shrine now to produce a couple of imps and then try and target those bio units. Massive amount of exos by now. Flay Dragon is coming in, replenishes all of his white health. And now they can use that choke point to just slowly poke them down here. And Theory is not lazy behind this. I mean, he's expanding again. He's basically taking the map at this point. And you already have a couple of bobs walking over here, trying to establish a base themselves, I suppose. But that's not going to happen. Couple of Flame Imps over here at the top. Yep, produces them, gets the upgrade, and tries to hit hard, but doesn't catch too much here. I like the idea, though. I like the idea of using that forward shrine and produce some Imps, and then use that as a production facility that helps you to maybe take out your opponent's command center here, to take out a couple of units. And it's just another threat for Probe that he will have to deal with somehow. So the attack over here is already coming. The map is taken with some Shroud Stones as well. More Weavers coming in. The entire choke point control. The Flay Dragon doing tons of work here too. Dropping in fast and nice drop play. Talking about drops from the Atlas, who now also received the AoE ground upgrade and is using it. But Probe is struggling here, and you can tell. He's outmined several of his Luminite mines already. He's being attacked from every single angle. Another quick yank, and that's going to be the end of the Atlas. One still left. There's still the attack happening over here on the right as well with the meat farm. So he won't be able to get another base anytime soon. And Probe is just running out of time and resources here. Game number 1 is looking great for Theory. The entire bio blob is by now destroyed. And this is game. GG as Probe taps out and Theory takes the 1-0 lead in the best of 3 series here at the Alpha Navigators Cup. I hope you enjoyed the game, everybody. Again, if you're not aware of it yet, Stormgate is a new esports RTS that is going to be released in an early access version later on this year. And I created a second YouTube channel specifically for Stormgate. So if you guys want to know not only how the match ended, but also want to see a little bit more coverage of the early access games, and then also when the game is finished, then you should check the channel out. Now, there's links in the description of the video where you can find the full video with the entire best of 3 and also the second YouTube channel. But also keep in mind that we're going to have tons and tons of tournaments with Stormgate as well. So once the game is actually open to play for everybody and the third race is revealed, when we have tier 3 units and a lot more content in the game just in general, we're going to also run a lot of tournaments for Stormgate. So if you guys are interested, if you want to follow the scene from the get-go and really be there from the ground up, make sure that you subscribe to the second channel and check out the second video. Hope you enjoy it. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.